Good evening. On behalf of our athletic director, Mr. John Cathcart, and our principal, Mr. Edward Varsity, we would like to welcome you to Metuchen High School, where sportsmanship is an expectation, so please let the players play, let the coaches coach, let the officials officiate, and let the spectators be positive. Tonight, the Bulldogs will be hosting the Panthers from Perth Amboy High School in a GMC tournament game. And now a message from the NJSIAA.
Today's contest is being conducted according to the rules of the New Jersey State High School Athletic Association. These rules provide for fair competition among players. Spectators can help promote good sportsmanship by observing the rules of fair play. Any verbal, written, or physical conduct related to race, gender, ethnicity, disability, sexual orientation, or religion shall not be tolerated, could subject the violator to ejection, and may result in penalties being assessed against your team. Each one is requested to take personal responsibility for keeping this competition at a high level of good sportsmanship.
And now before we get to the lineups, would you please stand for the playing of our national anthem? And now the starters for Perth Amboy, coached by Patrick Ritz. At guard, a freshman, number 1, Isabella Barber. At guard, a senior, number 5, Sarah. At forward, a senior, number 11, Laura Angeles. At guard, a senior, number 2, Aylin Ramirez. And at forward, a junior, number 4, Brianna Estevez.
Ready to go here from the MHS gym. It's round 2 of the GMC tournament Bulldog basketball, Jared. I am so excited as the Metuchen Bulldogs take on Perth Amboy Panthers here at home. Major importance in this one as Metuchen won on Saturday, actually destroyed their game on Saturday and earned their way to this game, Jared. A big one.
Of course it is a big one, and they are coming off on a hot streak right now. And this is really what all of their season's work has come to right here against Perth Amboy.
Well, the tip is won by the Bulldogs. Same starting lineup as usual. Cassidy Connors, good news, is back into the game after missing Saturday's game, as well as Josie Gray. She's back in the lineup as well, not starting. There was a foul against Perth Amboy, so it's staying Bulldogs ball to start off. 7:49 to go. Jermaine will shoot 2. Starting lineup for the Bulldogs, Katie Gray, number 12, Orly Germain, who's shooting right now, Cassidy Connors, number 23, then Charlotte Breen, number 5, and capped off by Sam Pfeiffer, the junior. First one good for Germain. She's been reliable from the line this year. She hits both, and a good start for the Bulldogs as they're out to an early lead. One thing about Perth Amboy this year, Jared, is they're 7-13. Not good record-wise, and on paper, they're not that good, right? But when you look deep into it, they are playing much tougher competition than Metuchen. Teams that they lost to this year beat Metuchen, so it's a tough team. Don't let the record tell you that it isn't.
Of course, and they've played a lot of good schools. They are also a bigger school. They've played some good schools. And their record, of course, is going to look like that because they've played teams like Piscataway, teams like Edison that really Metuchen can't compete with. And I think that this is a very even game as Metuchen is, of course, very good in the GMC Blue Division.
Pardo missed the 3. It's a timeout right now, so Metuchen and Perth Amboy will talk things over. On the side, Metuchen up to an early lead, and it feels like, Jared, when Metuchen goes out early, they seem to be able to hold that lead, at least the girls have been able to hold the leads later into the games with strong defense.
And they certainly have, and their defense has been very good, led, of course, by Orly Germain, leading the team with 238 rebounds, which is impressive in itself, that one number. And led by this team, Orly Germain has been a force on defense.
She's been more than just great defensively. Unbelievable numbers offensively, too. She leads the team in points with 289. As you said, the rebounds, 33 blocks defensively is another stat for you. 23 steals, 12 assists, 25 points last game against South Amboy, which was Saturday. So she's been tearing it up all season for Metuchen. Looking to continue that today. She already has 2 on the day. It's taken up by Perth Amboy. Popped up again. That's Germain's sparkling defense as now it's back in Metuchen's hands. Defense has looked good. They looked really good, especially against South Amboy on Saturday. See if they can continue that here in an even more important game. Here's Connor. She's back from being sick. She misses the 3-pointer, boarded by Perth Amboy, and they're going to take the balls now across the half. Connors has been automatic this year from 3 land. She's been almost the most valuable player for the Bulldogs shooting the ball. I'd say she has been hitting more 3s by far than any Bulldog this year. Perth Amboy now driving in. Panthers looking for their first point still. Did she travel? She sure did. That was a travel by Perth Amboy. That was Brianna Estevez. Metuchen on the ball. Struggling to get by this press defense, but they finally get it to Connors. Connors now surveying her options. She's double guarded in the corner, kicks to Gray. Gray underneath to Germain. That's all you got to do. Let her do the rest. She gets her own rebound, misses the second. No fouls. They stay out of the foul land there against Germain. Laura Angelis was defending her, and Metuchen comes out scoreless again on their drive. So it seems like Metuchen hasn't been able to fully assert their offensive rhythm, obviously very early into the game, as you see Perth Amboy tie the game up. But their defense has been good, at least to this point. It's been very good for Metuchen. So obviously good defense on both sides, and only 4 points in total, almost 3 minutes through this game.
Of course it has, and their team chemistry has really been one of the best components to their success. And all of these girls know each other very well and know how they play. and they can find each other in lanes, get that passing working, and once you can do that, you can really put some points on the board, and that's what they've done all season.
It's going to stay with Metuchen after last touched off Perth Amboy. So underneath will be Gray, ready to board it in. Goes over to Pfeiffer, the defensive star on their team. Connors chucks up the 3. Oh, almost had it, but in the right area was Katie Gray. Goes to Jermaine. Jermaine can't possess it, and now it's a quick drive for the Panthers. Up it goes off the glass and in, and already you're seeing the difference in styles of team. And you weren't here on Saturday, but South Amboy wouldn't have made that shot, for instance. This is a much better team, even if the record doesn't show it. Here's Jermaine. She puts it in, and this game's all tied up. Jermaine has all 4 for the Bulldogs, and we're all tied up here with 4:36 to go in the first quarter.
And this has been a common theme with Metuchen starting these games. They started out the last game really high, and they beat their last team they beat South Amboy by a large margin. And that was a 50-19 game, really getting out in front early to build up that lead, and it's hard to catch up when you're down that much. So definitely good here for the Bulldogs.
Looking good so far. See if they can contain the Perth Amboy offense as they have really all day so far. Obviously, all relative, only 4 minutes in. Connors puts it. Oh, she can't get it to go, but obviously clutch as always. Jermaine is there. She can't have the points either, which sets it down to 4:09 with Perth Amboy back on the ball. Still a tie game for 3 from the corner. It's up. It's no good. Now boarded by Sam Pfeiffer, and on a quick return, here come the Bulldogs. And I think it was last touched off Breen. It was. Which will send Metuchen backtrotting again into the game. Lucy Pallotta and Ella Polakowski out of the game. Jermaine and Pfeiffer. Lucy Pallotta started last game instead of she started last game instead of Connors when Connors was out sick. So she's been very good, and she played a great game last game as well, putting a bunch of points on the board. As you see, a missed 3 by Perth Amboy. Stays with them after the rebound though.
And Glutz is lucky to have such a great deep team here that she can really cycle in her offense still in the first quarter and get even freshmen and sophomores out onto the floor to get some minutes.
Well, it feels like even though Jermaine might be considered the best player on Metuchen, she's subbed out early and often, actually, for Metuchen as the game goes on. And I think that's because they want to keep her rested at all times, because she's really, in the end, the most valuable asset on the team. There's Connors. What a play by Cassidy. And Connors puts Metuchen back in the lead. This one back and forth. I have a feeling it's going to be a good one.
It definitely is. And in these close games, it's really testament to their character here, and see whether they can really hold it with Perth Amboy here in this game and try to build a lead and build their offensive glass.
Unbelievable game for Perth Amboy in the first round. They won 83-27 against Piscataway Magnet. Started the game off leading 26-2, only allowed 2 points against 26. And Isabella Pardo, who we've seen already a little bit for Perth Amboy, has scored 26 points that game. So keep an eye on her after a very, very hot first round. And Perth Amboy looking to continue to do more of the same, but again, against a much tougher team than Piscataway Magnet. They've got to go through the Bulldogs.
Yeah, they certainly do. And while their defense has certainly been good here, the Bulldogs have found ways to get points, and they find themselves ahead.
More points for the Bulldogs. They just keep putting it on. It's good stuff now, as Metuchen now has double Perth Amboy's lead. They just have to keep this defense tight the way it has been. Polkowski might have fouled. Dribbling through. That was Pardo, who scored 26 last game. That was fouled. It was a foul against Metuchen, not Polkowski. That was Pallotta's first. Amboy now threatening, putting it up on the glass. Nice play. The kiss is good. And Perth Amboy cutting back into that lead. That's Laura Angelis, who gets 2 more.
And we've seen some difficulty here as Perth Amboy is putting on some press defense to start the game here on the defensive side, on Metuchen's side of the ball. And we've seen the boys more struggle with this press defense, and I want to see how the girls can really get it up the court faster and catch this team in these fast breaks where they can really put points off the glass easy.
Girls controlling, I'd say, this game right now. I'd say Metuchen has controlled the game, and obviously the score reflects that a little bit. They're only up by 2. Maybe I jinxed it. Doesn't go. The shot there by Pardo. She's trying it again. She chucks it out after being double covered. Almost a steal for Polakowski. In fact, called a steal. She kicks over to Pfeiffer. Little bouncer to Polakowski. She's got height over her, but she's swatted down. Nice defense by Angeles, and they're going to talk things over as Metuchen is it's going to be a timeout offensively for Perth Amboy. Metuchen right now in the tournament, the 15th seed. Perth Amboy, the 18th seed. So very even competition. Really want to see Metuchen try to pull this one out. They're at home, obviously, because because they're the higher seed, and they deserve that higher seed after going 16-5 in conference play.
It certainly has, and this team is really led by both Orally and Cassidy Connors. Cassidy Connors leading the team in steals and assists with 39 and 89 respectively. Also 210 points and 102 rebounds. So certainly leading on both ends of the floor, on defense getting those rebounds and steals, and on offense putting them in the basket.
Metuchen holding the defense. The 5 right now for Metuchen. Pallotta, Pfeiffer. Oh, Pallotta takes a fall. Now Germain has to get off her assignment, but not in time, as Perth Amboy, as a good team would, is capitalizing off of Metuchen's mistakes. Heading into the final minute here of the first quarter. Here's Pfeiffer, second best shooter on the team. Can't get the 3. Germain has the rebound. That gives a lot of the players on Metuchen luxury to shoot, knowing that Germain could board the ball pretty easily. The ball gets checked out of bounds. Oh, not out of bounds. Caught. Now stolen. A quick break now for the Panthers. A polished team on the fast break. Still can't make it work as Pfeiffer swats it out. Last touched off of Pardo before Pfeiffer knocked it out of bounds. Obviously staying with the red shirts with over 50 seconds to go.
And we've seen Perth Amboy certainly capitalize on the mistakes of Metuchen here, but we've seen it the other way as well, getting steals and getting rebounds off of some maybe dumb shots on the offensive side for Perth Amboy, but certainly capitalizing on these mistakes, getting those steals and getting those offensive rebounds is going to be key to this league.
Wow, look at Angeles there with an unbelievably nice play. Laura Angeles has her second basket of the night and gives Perth Amboy the lead. Now, again, it's been back and forth. 18 points in the first quarter. That's rather high here. Moving it around. Can Pfeiffer hit it for the lead? She can't quite. Germain pulls down the rebound, puts it back up. She's fouled, and she has the chance to give Metuchen the lead. What a change of events. Germain is unbelievable.
She certainly is, and getting that M1 is huge to the momentum of this team going into the second quarter. And she's been a force on both the defensive glass and the offensive glass, getting those rebounds. And as we see this foul shot come up here and go into the end of the quarter, leading hopefully.
The shot no good, pulled down by Perth Amboy, so the game's still tied, under 20 seconds to go. This one has been fun to call, only a quarter in, and I'm getting excited here. Ball popped out, Angeles struggling to get through. She throws it off of Pallotta. Was it a kickball violation? I think it was, but that's not even her fault. She just threw it off of Pallotta's foot and got a little bit lucky there. What a heads-up play, though, by Angeles. I don't think she meant to throw it off her foot, but she just tried to keep it in bounds, and she's looking really good early on, defensively and offensively. Not even their main player. From 3, no good. The ball scooped up and swatted down by Germain. Ball last touched off of red, and Metuchen will do 0.7 seconds left of playing. Let's see, maybe one more shot, but I think that'll finalize the half. And it does. So that ends the first quarter. Bulldogs up tied right now, 10-10. We're going to move over to Henry Sia for the sideline report right now. Henry, tell us what's gone on here in the first quarter as Metuchen right now and Perth Amboy in a deadlock.
what you want to do when you go into like a GMC tournament like this. And maybe they'll make it into states if they keep this up. So far, the game has been very tightly contested. You know, Metuchen seemed to be in control the entire time, but that is a good place to be, even if it is tied. So Metuchen hopefully can capitalize later in the second quarter.
We'll see if they can. We are just about to resume here for the second quarter of play. Metuchen, as you said, played a really good half and controlled most of the time, but score doesn't matter. Score is really the only thing that ends up mattering in a game like this, right? So right now the score is 10-10. Bulldogs and Perth Amboy in a deadlock for the first time this year at home. Metuchen ends the first quarter tied. They've been down, they've been up, but they haven't been tied. So see what they can do, what head coach Kathy Glutz can instruct them to do for the final three quarters in the biggest game so far of the season. And Metuchen right now, all the starters, Jermaine, Pfeiffer, Gray, Breen, and of course Cassidy Connors. So they're going to be starting off on defense here in the second quarter.
And of course, being tied like this, they certainly shouldn't be upset. Last game, they actually lost to Perth Amboy 52-43, and that was only last week, January 28th. So certainly some adjustments for Coach Glutz, but being 10-10 with this team, this good of a team, is certainly nothing to be upset about.
Shot no good, but the rebound, I think there might have been a penalty against Metuchen. Yeah, it was a foul against Metuchen, a little push. That's a foul on Jermaine, her first of the game. It's interesting. We feel like Jermaine's always the tallest one out there on the court, but kind of competing with her today is Milani Wallace. You see, number 20 on red. She might be pretty good offensively and defensively to sort of neutralize Jermaine. So far, Jermaine this year hasn't really been able to be neutralized, but at least in the games we've called, and statistically, she's been incredibly good at just kind of getting anything she wants. Perth Amboy on the ball with 7:38 to go. This game's still tied. Swatted out. Wallace couldn't hold on to it. Now, keeping with Perth Amboy, Angeles, she's been the best all game. Jermaine swats it down, and they'll just have to keep doing it again. Metuchen holding very strong defense right now. Kind of seep through the cracks, but they can't because Metuchen's defense, maybe I jinxed it. Angeles up to the hoop, and she's got it. Commentator's curse number one of the night. Angeles has her third basket of the game, and she's been great. She has half the points right now for Perth Amboy. Keeps contributing, and now they're back in the lead.
And it seems like they've done an okay job so far to neutralizing Aurelie Germain. Obviously, Metuchen's record has shown it all season, 16-6 and 11-3 in the GMC Blue, and of course Aurelie leading the team in rebounds and points. So teams have seemed to not really neutralize her, but Perth Amboy has sort of come to the task so far.
Jumper runs out of bounds, shot by Brianna Estevez, which will give Metuchen the ball back. Got to capitalize on your opportunities here. It's a game of capitalization. A ball lost at half or near it. It's kind of in our dead zone. We apologize for that, but it is Perth Amboy with it, as you see. Angeles working it around. She's been the main player, not just offensively, defensively, has a couple of steals too. Angeles maybe some more, she can't get it. Jermaine pulls it down. Little bouncer to Pfeiffer. Can they slow this offense down? They don't do well on fast breaks like these, and Breen knows that as she slows it down a bit. Little bouncer gets swatted down by Wallace, and now back on the loose come the Panthers. Do they have points in the system? Driving it around. Estevez with good handles, really good handles. She stepped out of bounds, and it's Metuchen's ball. Wow, Estevez just crossed up a few defenders, but I think her foot just barely touched the blue.
And meanwhile, this is a great recovery here from Metuchen because they let away a steal here and managed to contain her very well. Great on defense. So good to see that they're sort of not letting Perth Amboy capitalize on their mistakes, and hopefully they can turn that into some points on the offensive glass.
Breen, Connors, see what they're cooking up here. Wallace sticking to Jermaine like glue as she swats it down. Jermaine is open. Instead, they'll go Pfeiffer. No good. Pulled down by Angeles, who has a bunch of height also, and she's able to get the board. She leads the team in rebounds this year with 135 and 48 steals, so probably their defensive MVP, but this game she's looking like the offensive MVP, even though typically that's Kiara Marquez. Number 5, you see her guarded right now underneath by Charlotte Breen.
And we haven't seen this much this year, but Perth Amboy actually has a much bigger roster than Metuchen, so certainly a lot of depth that the coach over there, Patrick Ricks, has to work with.
Lots of skill, lots of talent, lots of height also with this Perth Amboy roster, as Wallace has been, I think, great on defense. Another swat down, a pass underneath for 2, a layup is good, and Isabella Pardo has some more points. Good job from Pardo and a nice find as it's 14-10.
And Perth Amboy seems to have sort of gained the momentum in the past 4 minutes here. And I want to see Metuchen start to develop some offense here, some passing on the offensive floor that they can sort of generate points and get back in this game.
It's been a little while since head coach Kathy Glutz has made some subs. That's usually her specialty. Breen got it. Nice play off the kiss there for Charlotte Breen. And it's 14-12 as the Bulldogs chop back at least a little bit, still trailing by 2. Good job, though, by Breen. Almost contested, and she shot it in. And this game just 2 away from being tied as Metuchen's defense looking to hold strong. With 4 minutes to go in the first half. At the end of the half, we'll go on camera. Henry Sia, Jared Popek, and I will all be on camera to bring you the halftime report. Will last all 8 minutes, and then we'll dive back into action for the second half. So lots to look forward to tonight, and this game especially, I'd say definitely looking forward to that one too, as we'll see who can advance and play Edison, at least we think, in the next round. Imagine a Metuchen Edison game. That might be pretty awesome in the 3rd round of the GMC tournament.
And Metuchen being obviously a smaller school than Edison, they've seemed to compete with a lot of big schools this year, and of course their record showing it, but being the 15th seed in this tournament, they have some ground to make up with these bigger schools, and a win here versus Perth Amboy would be huge to their future.
If you're wondering who that was that just scored, that was Kiara Marquez, who leads the team in points. And there is Cassidy Connors, who hits the 3. That is huge for Metuchen. She delivers when they need it, and she just did once again. 16-15. Perth Amboy out in front. Like I was saying, if you were wondering who that was, who got the points for Perth Amboy, it was Kiara Marquez, her first points of the game, and we haven't said her name much, but she has 217 points on the year, which leads the team. So she's a major asset for this team. Now underneath, a pass, shot, oh, not a shot, a fake shot, a pass underneath again. Connors gets the rebound after an air ball. She's having trouble with it. And Connors' little dribbler pass to Gray, who gets it up to Pfeiffer. Now a 3-on-1. Wallace can't get there, and it's Breen who lays it in and puts Metuchen up 17-16, and a timeout called, rightfully, by head coach Patrick Ricks.
And Patrick Ricks is really trying to slow the momentum of Metuchen. Metuchen really carrying all the weight the past minute and a half, I'd say, and they've started to capitalize on some of Perth Amboy's mistakes, actually. They've recovered when they've made their own mistakes on the defensive floor, giving up some steals, and they've recovered just as well and put some points back up to give themselves a lead here with 2 minutes to go.
We'll step aside for now. Bulldogs up by 1, 2:37 to go in the half, Jared. It's been awesome. We'll step aside. We'll see you guys in just a minute. Bulldogs up by 1 on the Bulldog Report. Ready to go here in the second quarter, late second quarter, 2:37 to go. Metuchen has the lead by just 1, but they haven't had it all game. I feel like they've been losing more than they've been winning, thanks to Cassidy Connors and Charlotte Breen late in the last goings of before that timeout. Bulldogs took the lead again. It's going to be back and forth, though, I think, the rest of the game.
It certainly will be, and we've seen a close game so far, some momentum swings, as Perth Amboy took took ahead, and then Metuchen came right back. So certainly a good one here. We'll see what happens. Who carries the momentum going into the second half obviously been very important.
Dogs need this. Dogs want this win pretty badly. Trying to play some tight defense. Wallace trying to get it underneath. She didn't even start, but she's been one of the biggest pieces for Perth Amboy, at least this game. That's a foul, I think, on Lucy Pilata. That would be her second foul so far this game. That is her second foul. Metuchen in total just 3 fouls this half, 4 for the visitors. Bounce pass to Cologne. Cologne. Now they're working it around. A pass over to Pardo. Isabel Pardo can't get it. Germain saving it. Good stuff from Germain. Oh, but she gave it away. Now a jumper from Pardo. She has some points today. Ball popped out. Breen's got it. She's really speedy. Good luck keeping up with Breen. She slows down to get the offense assembled. Good idea by the point guard. She crosses up a defender. Bounce to Germain. This is her hot spot, but it's going back to Pfeiffer and now into Josie Gray. Gray out of bounds, and it's going to be red ball. Back into the game is Cassidy Connors. I didn't even realize she was subbed out. That was so quick. It's hard to go.
That's a Coach Glutt special there, circulating your players in and out.
Let him get water, and then just put him back in. That's the right move, I think. And that's what is that's why they always kind of look fresh out there. They're able to always have energy. They go sit a little bit. I bet you Sam Pfeiffer comes in before the half ends again. Good rebound there by Breen after the failed three-point attempt. Inside of a minute and a half to go. Bulldogs up by just a point. And a foul on Josie Gray, not Katie Gray. Josie Gray, she missed last game, didn't play at all because she was sick. She'll shoot 2 for the chance to put her first points of the day up on the board and try to extend this lead. That one was a foul against Cologne, her second of the game. And Josie splashes the first and hits the first after the Aliani Cologne foul. Back into the game is Angeles, and she's been missing the last few minutes, and since Metuchen has, they've taken advantage. Since she's been out of the game, Metuchen's taken advantage. And by the way, Sam Pfeiffer comes back into the game, like I said, so commentator's curse isn't always bad. As that time it worked to the best. Josie Gray shooting at the line. She made the first. She gets a lucky bounce and gets both from the line. That's huge for Metuchen. Now up by 3. Pfeiffer back into the game with fresh legs. By the way, out came Pilata with that substitution. 1:15 left. Almost a steal for Breen. I think she last touched it, but good effort there. Marquez, a little bounce pass to the speedy Pardo. Dribbling in is Estevez. Estevez to Wallace. Wallace splits the defense. That's free points, and she's got it. Good stuff from Wallace with her handles, going right past the zone defense and squeaks in the points to cut this to 1.
And this has been one of the closest games we've seen all season with Metuchen. We'll see what Coach Glutz does in terms of her substitutions.
What a good idea there, as waiting for it to come to her was Pardo. She got the steal but lost the ball soon after. I think it last hit off her foot and dribbled out of bounds. Metuchen has it for the final 36 seconds of the half. They have the chance to just dribble this out and get the last points of the game. Excuse me, of the half. If they're wise, they might do that, or they could go aggressive, and I wouldn't say that's not wise either, because try to get as many points as you can in a basketball game. Doesn't matter how much you're up by at half. Gray. Outside. Pfeiffer hasn't hit a 3 all game yet. She might have been fouled, but they don't call it. Maybe all ball there. Gray's got it. Her 3rd and 4th points of the day, and it's 21-18. Josie Gray looking good. We haven't seen much of Katie Gray today. She's been on the bench for a little bit now. Dribbling in, swatted down by Gray. Josie Gray with a denial. Pfeiffer with a quick steal to Breen, but it runs out of time, and that takes us to the end of the first half. Metuchen up by 3. We're about to join you for the halftime show. So we'll step aside for now, but we'll join you for the end of first half halftime show and halftime recap in just a few moments. 21-18 at the end of the first half. Metuchen up here on the Bulldog Report. Hey everybody, Ike Bush here with the Bulldog Report, also here with Jared Popek and Henry Sia, ready to talk about the first half of action. It's been awesome here from the MHS Gym. Second round of GMC play. Jared, what did you see in this one that, you want to see more of in the second half from Metuchen if they want to win this game?
And this has been one of the closest games we've actually called all season, where Metuchen's sort of finding some struggles on the defensive floor, getting some steals against them, but they've certainly put the points up on the offensive glass. I think that Coach Glutz is obviously wanting to put all of her talent out on the offensive glass, where she's substituting maybe less than she normally would have in a regular season game.
And Henry, we've talked a lot about capitalizing on opportunities, and that's kind of led to some of the success that Metuchen has had all year. What has been the problems with Perth Amboy that Metuchen has capitalized to kind of give them the lead here at the end of the first half?
Well, I mean, Metuchen with the lead, 3 points, but it's been more of a back-and-forth game. I wouldn't say they capitalized on too many opportunities, per se. I think Perth Amboy came here with a great game plan. They came out with great mental, they were ready. They had mental toughness, and they were ready to face one of the big boys in, the division. So they came out there, they did that, and only down by 3. They've been doing a great job. So Metuchen, taking advantage of opportunities, sure, but I think that it's just going to be a back-and-forth game. Perth Amboy, if anybody, is the one taking advantage of the opportunities here.
Listen, Edison's a big school, Jared, and obviously that is not going to be an easy team to play. Now, if Metuchen obviously wins their game, they would have to focus on Edison, right? So say they beat Perth Amboy tonight, which would not be an easy thing to do, obviously. So they pull out the win, let's just say hypothetically. They go to Edison for their matchup. That's going to be a tough one. How do they win against a bigger school, bigger team, maybe taller players and whatnot? How do they beat that team and try to keep advancing?
And of course you only focus on the game at hand, where they're focusing on Perth Amboy here, but let's say if they win, they would have to start focusing on Edison. They've handled the good teams here so far this year, obviously their record's showing it, but certainly going to be a tough test for Coach Glutz to sort of figure out in practice, what is our game plan going into Edison?
Yeah, so let's go the other way. So if Edison wants to beat Metuchen, what can they do? Because knowing what Metuchen's good at, what Metuchen's bad at, how do you expose them and try to beat them if Metuchen wins this game? How does Edison, knowing what you know after today's half and the end of the second half, what can Edison say, okay, I watched the Perth Amboy game, I need to do this to beat Metuchen?
I mean, here's the thing. Metuchen's specialty on defense, 100%. And Perth Amboy definitely been able to exploit their defense a bit, been able to drive up to the rim, get more points, keep in pace with Metuchen. But if Edison wants to beat Metuchen, if they make it to the next round, they have to just score more points than them. I know it sounds simple, but I mean, Metuchen has such a strong defense. If they really want to just advance, beat Metuchen, they have to just get past their defense, find the holes, take advantage of every opportunity they get, and they just have to outscore Metuchen's offense.
All right, I'm going to ask you both this question because I think it's a big question to ask. There's obviously a lot of importance when it comes to second half, adjusting at the end of the first half. Metuchen has a lot of work to do to try to finalize this game. They're only up by 3 at the half. What can they do? If you're head coach Kathy Glutz, right, what do you tell Metuchen?
to try to make sure that they're able to hold on to this game?
I'm telling Metuchen to sort of keep possession here. They've actually lost the ball a lot. They haven't been too secure with the ball. So I want to see them connect passes more and sort of be more safe with the ball, holding the ball when the team is near you and sort of pushing it up the floor when you get the chance. And I really want to see Metuchen sort of elevate their game when they're really in a tight spot on their own court when they're getting pressed.
Yeah, press defense has been a big problem, I think, for Metuchen. Both teams countering the press defense. Obviously, you let the defense set the tone on you, they're going to win every single time. So Metuchen has to be able to counter the press defense no matter what, and that's something we've seen in a lot in the past. And I think we're going to see a little bit more in the second half as Perth Amboy might be coming back and trying to get the ball a little bit quicker. So Henry, I'm going to ask you the same question: what can Metuchen do in the second half to make sure that the second half goes better? Not that the first half wasn't, but how can they make sure that the second half is good? And what, if you're head coach Kathy Glutz, can you say to your team?
Well, I mean, Metuchen's biggest problem, their defense, like I said before, been amazing, but 18 points for them is a lot. I mean, they allowed 24 points in 19 in their last 2 games, so allowing 18 in one quarter, definitely unlike them. So Kathy Glutz, they have to keep up the offensive production. If they get at this pace, they're going to get around 40-ish points, which is pretty good. It's a winnable score, and that's all that matters. So if Metuchen straightens up their defense, figures out a way to stop the Perth Amboy offense, and stops making so many, mistakes for Perth Amboy to take advantage of, if they could stop doing that, they could definitely put themselves in a position to win this game.
So it's not easy to focus on both at the same time, obviously. But if you have it your way, obviously you'd love that to happen. Listen, everyone would want that, have great offense, great defense, shutting them down, and also being able to put up your own points. That's obviously the dream. But if you had to pick one, Henry, like you said, you want to have both. But if you can only pick one for the rest of this particular game, what are you picking? Strong offense or strong defense? Because I think that's a pretty hot topic here. It could be debated.
I'm definitely going with strong defense. They have the potential. They have the people. Like Aurélie Germain, she has been a force in the paint. She's been the main reason why Metuchen's been keeping in pace with these games. They've been not allowing as many points being in layups, backboard. They have to force their opponent to go into the perimeter, which is something that a lot of these teams struggle with. And Perth Amboy, they've found ways to get in the paint, so they just need to fix their interior game, figure out a way to stop them from getting so many easy layups and stuff, and Metuchen set. So strong defense, 100%.
Try, let's talk Aurélie Germain. She's been great this year. I know we talked about it on the stream this half, as many other games as well. Aurélie Germain, she's probably the biggest piece for Metuchen, probably contributes to Metuchen winning a lot of their games a lot more than many of the other players. How do you use her in the second half to make sure that you pull out with a W in this one?
You sort of use her definitely in the paint like they have been, and they use her on the defensive glass, where they can sort of get the rebounds when Perth Amboy misses their shots. And we've seen Metuchen certainly be dominant in third quarters. They've certainly taken the lead in third quarters all year, and I want to see them sort of elevate their game here with Perth Amboy and sort of build on the lead that they've sort of created in the first go of it.
The problem with, though, Germain in this particular game is that a lot of her success in the past is because she's loaded with talent, but a lot of her success has actually come through her height. And obviously she's got great height. If you watch any of the games, you'll know Aurélie Germain has great height, and she's able to get a lot of points just kind of laying it in there. It looks a little bit too easy at some points, right? But she's going against tall defender, Wallace. She's able to counter her a little bit well, right? A little bit better than any other team has had someone counter her. So, you've got Wallace guarding Germain. Do you think that affects Germain's play? I think she's looked good in the first half, but do you think that affects Germain? And how can they use her, if so, to shut down Germain in the second half?
It certainly does affect her, Ike, and being neutralized in a game like this is very important for Perth Amboy to sort of get out in front on the rebounds. And we haven't really seen this year where Aurélie Germain has been contested on the glass, but now seeing this, I want to see what Glutz does in the paint, where they can sort of keep hold of these possessions and put it into points on the glass.
Last question, this one's for Henry. Just hit me, that was not a good choice. Hit me with what you think Coach Kathy Glutz can do. And I know I talked about end of first half recap, what can Coach Kathy Glutz tell her players, but what does she do sub-wise to make sure that they can win this game with her subs?
Well, as you guys were saying throughout the stream, her main gimmick is, she subs out a lot of players, gets them to go on breaks, makes sure they're 100%, doesn't want them to lose any energy. And I think Metuchen's team has the depth to do that. Same with the boys' team. All the teams in Metuchen, they have depth. And the girls have superstars. They have Cassidy Connors, they have Orly Germain. So Kathy Glutz, keep subbing those players out, keep getting your depth players in. And I think if Metuchen, like I said before, straightens up on defense, I think Kathy Glutz can really pull this one off, and I could definitely see this one going for a W and them advancing to Edison.
Don't worry, you're missing no basketball action. We'll return right now for the second half of play. Jared Popek and I will be on to bring you all the action for the second half. But right now, Metuchen up 21-18. Thank you guys for joining in here on the Halftime Report. We will be here back on the Bulldog Report in just a few seconds.
Well, we made the little adjustment, ran from the hallway back into the room, and we are back to return for the second half of action. So, Metuchen up by 3. They've deserved this win. They've deserved this lead, I should say. I think they might be able to, you might be able to say they deserve a win if they keep playing like this. They just have to keep on doing what we say. I think that they take advantage of their strongholds like that. There's Cassidy Connors again, using her shooting ability to her advantage and Metuchen's advantage, and they convert. Oh my goodness, Perth Amboy stepped on the court. That's a violation that is on against Perth Amboy. Aline Ramirez, that's her first, I think it's actually not a foul. It's a violation, so it's going to stay Metuchen. The points will count, and they're back on the ball, but that's not for long, or maybe it is for long as Pfeiffer gets the ball right back after an almost steal by Pardo. More points potentially. Connors can't make it fall. Rebounded by Angeles, and she's been contributing to a high extent so far.
And she certainly has, but we've already seen some adjustments for Coach Glutz here and the Bulldogs that have worked against Perth Amboy, and we've seen a full court press that has worked very well, seeing Perth Amboy step on the court here, and we're getting a fast break on the other end.
Now a fast break for the Bulldogs, a foul, Breen to the line for 2. She'll try to extend this lead, which is now 6, the highest lead for Metuchen this game so far, and they have a chance to make it even more. Breen to the stripe for 2. The first falls in. Nice shot there. Still another to go if they can. Foul throws have been very good for Metuchen. They're surprisingly knocking a lot of them through.
And for Perth Amboy, actually, in terms of free throws, we have Ahilan Ramirez, who has not missed a free throw yet this year. Should be interesting if the Bulldogs end up bringing her to the line, if she can make both, which she has all year, of course.
Now a quick strike. Oh, she maybe overran it, but she still gets the points to fall, and now it's just a 6-point game, so she gets the points that Breen knocked through on the foul line right back. Good stuff there. There by Estevez. 6-point game. Germain off the glass. She's shut down. Not even by the height of Wallace like we talked about at the half. That one was Angeles who kind of contested her. 6-point game.
And we've seen full court press from both teams here in the second half, and it's really challenged their offenses to get up the court faster than the clock will expire. And it's going to be really important coming up this game to sort of contain these offenses and not even let them get up the court, let alone get some points. And that's how you turn it into points on the other guy.
Pfeiffer almost just got a steal out of that. Would have been her 28th. She has 27. She's been great on defense. Undershot three-pointer from Estevez. She just got the points on the last drive. This one kind of forgettable shot there, but Metuchen will now have the ball again. Haven't committed a foul here in the second half. Popped out. And I think last touched off Perth Amboy. It is. Panthers will go back trotting on defense. If you're just joining us here on the Bulldog Report, the Bulldogs are leading by 6 in an excellent game. We talked a lot at halftime about what they could do to kind of finalize this one and head home with a W. And if you're just joining us, make sure to tune into the halftime report. Just a few minutes ago, we talked a lot with Henry Sia, Jared Popek, and I. Three-pointer from Connors. They've been shooting a lot of them. She's made a few, missed a few. This time, a two-shot for Connors. Another one after the rebound by Jermaine. Connors pulls it down again. This time she goes to Jermaine. Nice teamwork there from 23 and 32. And one. Jermaine will come to the line. Wow.
And Jermaine certainly getting challenged here, but she's challenging right back as we get an N1 and consecutive rebounds in a row for both Cassidy Connors and Aurelie Jermaine. It's great to see that Metuchen is capitalizing on the mistakes of Perth Amboy.
Well, Connors' number is 23, Jermaine's number is 32. It's almost like that they play complementary to each other, and I think the numbers say that the same. And I know obviously it has nothing to do with it, but 23 32, I guess the numbers are switched up, and they're very complementary to each other in their styles of play, and they've been great, a great combo, leading Metuchen to a lot of these victories this year. So obviously an 8-point lead right now. A lot of it's been between 23 and 32, at least today. So almost a steal for Breen, keeping with Perth Amboy, at least for now. Angelis sets up for three, doesn't take it. They have Jermaine guarding Angelis right now, and Angelis also guards Jermaine. Little bouncer shot. Oh, got it. Off the rim. Good stuff there by Pardo, who's been a focal point of this Perth Amboy offense. Underratedly, has 8 points.
And certainly being complementary to each other are Captain Cassidy Connors and Aurelie Jermaine, where Cassidy Connors leading the team in assists and Aurelie Jermaine leading in points, of course. So certainly giving each other the share of the points here, and hopefully they can continue to do that to build on their lead.
Speaking of Aurelie Jermaine, she just got some points to fall through, extends the lead now to 8. They're going to play some defense now. A shot goes up, foul against Metuchen. Back to the line goes Marquez for 2 shots. Marquez hasn't been fouled yet today, but like I said before, leads the team in points. One of their biggest offensive pieces this year, but they haven't really used her that much today. Marshall's moved in and Jermaine's coming out. Might be a mismatch down there on the court. I think Polakowski's going to be the so-called big man at center, so she's probably going to end up guarding Wallace. And the shot's good, make it a 7-point game. She splits the shots from the line, makes one, misses one, and Bulldogs back on the flow. Ooh. Overshot her target off of Gray. She kept it in, at least for the moment. Last touch, I think, off of Connors, who tried to maintain possession after fumbling it. After her teammates fumbled it. Okay, timeout called by Metuchen. Everyone will talk things over. That was Perth Amboy's, timeout. And now we're going to talk to Henry Sia about what he thinks the third quarter and fourth quarter could look like for Metuchen in an ideal W. Wait, excuse me, we're cutting out of cameras right now, so we don't have our camera working, so we'll actually turn to him for next break. Right now, though, 7-point game, Jared. 7-point game with 4:15 to go in the third quarter. Lots of game time left. And Metuchen has to maintain their defensive work. Their offenses looked very good out of the gate. But defense, they've only allowed, 5 points out of the second half.
Yeah, they certainly have. And it's been important for that Kathy Glutz is still subbing. Not as much as she normally would have, but she is still definitely subbing, and it's important to get those fresh legs on, more of the same faces that she's subbing in and out more than new faces. And you of course want to put your best talent out there at a time where in a winner go home game you need to put as many points on as possible.
This is the type of game that if you don't end up the home seed, if you didn't get the 15 seed, for instance, and you got the 18 seed the way Perth Amboy did, this is the type of game that Metuchen could have lost, right? If they played Perth Amboy in Perth Amboy, I think they could have lost that game. And I know this isn't a win necessarily. There's a shot to tie the game, or not tie the game, but cut it to 4. It doesn't go. This isn't a win necessarily, but it's looking good because they're playing good basketball as the points go in, make it 5 points for the Metuchen lead. But it's the type of game that I think Perth Amboy would probably win if they're at home. And the type of game where if you're at home and you're Metuchen, you could win. So this game isn't over, but they're playing a heck of a good game. And if they could hold this, what they have right now, a 5-point lead, keep it 5 actually, rebounded by Wallace, they could win this game. So a shot chucked up. Was she fouled? Marquez was not fouled, at least not in the act of shooting. It was just touched off of a Bulldog.
So Metuchen, of course, comfortable when they are in the lead, and in the lead here, but I certainly want to see Metuchen be more clean on defense and sort of be more secure at the ball like we've talked about during halftime with Henry. And it's certainly important that you keep the ball secure and get the possession and sort of get it up the court. And Metuchen has done a great job of that in the second half, obviously outscoring them. We'll see them continue it here.
Less than a minute and a half of game time ago, Jermaine came out and Polakowski came in. Now it's the opposite. Jermaine back in for Polakowski. So they are quick subbing, as we say. Subbing a lot through the Kathy Glutz system in a 5-point game. Angeles, little bouncer, swatted down by Jermaine after the Wallace chance. Angeles gets it in. This one's a 3-point game, and Metuchen's defense looks a little shaky.
They certainly do, but I also think that Metuchen has been good, and on offense they've proved that they can sort of hang with this team, and full court pressing and doing all that and getting those steals where they can put more points in than they'll even let Perth Amboy even get up the court.
So I think they're in need of a timeout at some point soon. If they don't score here, next time you're on offense, especially if Red scores points in the next drive, you have to consider calling a timeout because you want to make sure that your offense is playing and defense is playing to their full potential really at all times. And that's got to... Oh, there was I think a double dribble by Pfeiffer. Oh no, that's actually the motion for a foul as a push against Perth Amboy. Foul against Pardo. Lifted to Jermaine, kept in by Pilata. Moving it around. Pfeiffer kicks back to Breen. Breen with a little dish over to Gray. Gray lost it. It goes out of bounds, and back on defense they go. I feel some sort of momentum building right now if I'm Perth Amboy. And if I'm Metuchen, I don't like it.
Yeah, it's certainly a good contest for Metuchen to see whether they can really snap out of this momentum here and build back on the lead that they've created in the start of the third quarter. Obviously, Metuchen known to be dominant, and Metuchen needs to clean up here.
I was going to say Perth Amboy, it's going to stay Perth Amboy, they say. Marquez looking at her options, goes with the bounce pass left. Moving left, Gray moving left. Now a chance with a bouncer back over to Pardo. And it's going to be a touch and ball. Now into the game is Josie Gray and Cassidy Connors. Out come Lucy Pilata and Katie Gray. Oh, wait, little moving around. What's going on? No one else is subbing out, so they're just fixing up their scheme. Breen looking like she's going to check in, and as I said, Perth Amboy asserting their full court press like they should against Metuchen, who struggles against the press.
And we've seen the boys really struggle with it a lot, where you can see in film that they're struggling to get it up the court. Metuchen's done a good job in this one so far, getting it up the court and turning it into points.
Pfeiffer's three-pointer no good. She hasn't hit one yet today. That's subject to change, I think. Now a shot from the corner of the key, no good, but a rebound. Oh, it's no good again by Wallace. Tried to pull it down. She ripped it from Jermaine's hands. Now a quick break for Breen. She's got to have it. Not fouled, and points go in. What a play by Charlotte Breen. The quick steal and the quick points. She reminds me a lot of Max Cohn the way she plays, actually. She's the leader, she's the point guard, she's a captain, and she plays like Cohn. She's quick, and she gets steals and converts on them. So I think that her plays, if you watch any of the boys' games, and you're watching this game, Charlotte plays like Max a little bit, I think. And they're going to go talk things over as a timeout is called, and we're going to send it now. Let's hope this works. Let's hope this works. Sending it over to Henry Sia to see what he thinks Metuchen could do to win this game.
And yeah, Metuchen, I feel like they betrayed me. They did the exact opposite of what I told them to do. I said focus more on defense and less on offense. You know what they did? They focused less on defense and more on offense. 32 points with about 2 minutes left in the quarter, and already Metuchen allowing Perth Amboy to come back slowly and slowly. They have two more points than they originally did back in the second quarter, but you know what? That doesn't matter. Metuchen allowing much more points than they did before. Already up to 27, and, you know, they've been scoring a lot more points on offense, but Metuchen really needs to fix it up on defense if they want to close this thing out.
Thanks, Henry. We'll see if they can do that. I think that they might be able to with the talent they have. A lot of good players out there. Remember, for Metuchen, a lot of potential with them. So we'll see if they can hold on to this lead. Final minute of the third quarter. Chucks up a shot. This is her first three-point attempt of the day. Cologne couldn't get it to fall. Connors rips it down. 47 left. Breen. Bounce to Connors. Connors looking at her options. No rush on the offense. Breen. She's guarded by Angeles, who's been the best defensive piece all year for them. Gray doesn't even consider shooting. She dribbles in, goes out to Pfeiffer, who decides better of a shot.
And anytime when you're holding the ball like this, of course against a high-scoring offense, anytime you're holding the ball is a good time.
Nice job by Jermaine to get it in. A great pass by Connors, 23-32 duo. Maybe I just started something as she gets the points to go. It's a 7-point game. Maybe a few more points can be added in these final 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bulldogs up by 7. What a quarter it was. They expanded their 3-point lead to 7 after the third quarter. So they only allowed 9 points there in the third quarter. They scored a total of 13. They played great there in that third quarter.
They certainly have, and I've said before, especially in the halftime report, that Metuchen has been explosive in third quarters this year. We definitely saw it here, and they've definitely built on it in the fourth quarter. They've won a lot of their games, especially in the fourth quarter, where they can really grind out these wins, and let's see if Coach Glutz makes any adjustments here during the timeout while they sort of recuperate and come back out refreshed in the fourth quarter.
And listen, don't get me wrong when I say this. Metuchen has played a great game, right? But this isn't the prettiest game from Perth Amboy. It's not the prettiest game from Metuchen. And you're not going to get pretty games in the tournament. You're going to get scrappy, hard-fought games like this. And this is what they've gotten. They've gotten hard, they've played a hard-fought game. They've kind of won where they could, won their battles, and they're going to try to win the war here. But there's 8 minutes left, and if they can pull this out, Metuchen is bound for a third-round game against potentially Edison in the next round, which would be pretty awesome, Metuchen-Edison rivalry. But we don't know when that game would be. We'll keep you updated. We don't even know if they'll play in that game. Obviously, these final minutes will help us determine that. So 8 minutes left, 34-27, Bulldogs up by 7. They'll be on offense, I think, to start the fourth since they won the tip with Jermaine. So, yes, it will be Bulldog offense in the final 8 minutes.
And going into the second half, the Bulldogs only up by 3. Now they're up by 7. So certainly some improvements here in the third quarter. And, of course, only time will tell the result here.
Bulldog defense, I meant to say. I thought Jermaine won the tip. Maybe it went to Perth Amboy. That's what it was. A shot over down to Angeles. Angeles kicks to Pardo. Oh, a shot from 3. This one, Cologne, and Cologne buries the 3. It's 34-30. That's a big momentum booster. And don't let this beat you up if you're Metuchen. You got to not let that get to your head. And don't let them get this momentum because they could find themselves in front sooner rather than later with just a 4-point margin separating them.
And we saw it in the third quarter a little bit where Perth Amboy was sort of taking ahead against this Bulldog team and testing their defense.
How about Connors? Wow, that is magician work there for Cassidy Connors, snooping through the defense and getting to the rim for 2. It's 36-30. This fourth quarter set to be very action-packed with 5 points early, and we're not even a minute in. Jermaine and Angelus fighting for it. Last touched off of Angelus. It'll be Bulldog basketball, kicked in by Gray when she's ready. Wow, that one was pretty fierce from Jermaine. It wasn't even a foul because there was no intention behind it. She just kind of boarded it, and Angelus tried also, but with Jermaine's strength and size, she's able to usually win those battles, and that's kind of given Metuchen a lot of those big opportunities underneath the net, which we might see now as she's setting up there. Nice catch by Connors, moves to Jermaine, like I said. Keep your foot down, Jermaine. She does. Gray over to Breen, and they'll reset in the corner. Little bouncer to Gray. Gray back to Breen. They've got to figure out an offensive scheme. As Angelus jumps on it, it's going to be, I think, be a fight underneath. That's a foul, but it's going to stay Metuchen's way. I think it's a foul on Angelus, which would be, I believe, her second. Angelus's third foul. Connors wide open. She's calling for it. She wants it. Oh, but Perth Amboy says, you're never really open. A quick steal. Estevez is good from underneath and in the paint. Estevez with a brilliant idea. Just leave Connors open and take it all the way to the hoop. Good job there by Estevez. A quick steal and a quick play for a 36-32 lead. Gray. Bounce. Connors. Pfeiffer. Softly off the glass. Good stuff. And now Metuchen up 38-32. The reason I don't think that this momentum that, or so-called momentum Perth Amboy is building up against Metuchen right now is going to get to Metuchen is because they're getting points. It's not like, you know, Perth Amboy is getting a surge of momentum offensively, which you could argue they are, but Metuchen's responding, so it doesn't do anything as long as Metuchen's able to put points on the board also. But I'm just nervous that the moment Metuchen stops scoring, and if Perth Amboy keeps scoring, it could come back to bite them.
And Perth Amboy has sort of taken the charge here, but Metuchen has answered the call saying, what you can do, I can also do. And they've challenged back to sort of keep the lead that they've built going into the half and in this third quarter. And now in this fourth quarter, Glutz keeping the same sort of roster out as Pilata checks in for Breen.
Well, I think it's actually funny that you know anything you can do, I can do. It's not even I can do better, it's just anything you can do, I can do at this point, because all you got to do is match the other team. You don't even have to do it better than them. So at this point, you're up by 4, which is very slim margin, and obviously that could be lost at any moment, but all you have to do is meet them. Like you said, anything you can do, I can do. Not even I can do better, because you don't need to do it better. You just need to contain and score points like Pilata just did off the glass and in. 40-34, Bulldogs lead still 6.
And Metuchen hitting the 40 mark here with 5 minutes left in this game. And Perth Amboy sort of matching it on the offensive floor. But again, Metuchen still keeping at it with the scoring, and let's hope they can keep doing that.
I think it's going to be staying white, but obviously all those red shirts up very quickly against Metuchen because they're on press defense. So not anymore. They decide to go back, and so it should be inbounded by Gray into Pfeiffer. No more press, it looks like, because I think it's like close enough of a game where they don't have to press. Pfeiffer moving inside, kick out. Now Gray moving it around. She'll finesse Marquez, pass inside, Germain gets it. That's a huge play, and what a pass from Gray. Underrated pass there by Gray as she finds the big point maker with Germain to get the 2 for Metuchen. It's 42-34. Points have been consistent, and they have not been lacking in this game for Metuchen. 42 points is pretty darn good against a team like this. Foul on the way to the hoop. It'll be 2 shots. The foul, waiting for the motion, I think it was against either Gray or Connors. They say it was against Connors. Her first foul of the game. It feels like she's been involved in a lot of scrums. Actually, that's been her first foul. She's been fouled a couple times, though. And it's going to be 2 shots. Estevez ready to take them, with Breen looking like she's getting ready to check in. So after the first shot, Breen is going to come in, I think, in for Pilata. Airballs the free throw. Breen comes in for... Ooh, she comes in for Pfeiffer. Damn, I'm never right about those. Maybe I'll get it one day. I was actually I was 1 for 2 last time when we guessed. First shot was airballed. Second shot was rimmed. Last touched off Germain. She's shaking up her eye a little bit, hurting, I think. Miss Glutz, we'll see what she does with that, with Germain touching her eye. You do not want to see her play through something that she shouldn't. I think you should probably put in Polakowski or something, because your best player you can't have injured while playing the game. And she'll just take a kneel. That could be a big shot against Metuchen in the final minutes. I want to see a Kathy Glutz timeout here if they can. They have the ball, so it's... Oh, they don't have the ball. I don't think that's a possibility. They're going to sub out. Yeah, Polakowski will come in for Germain. Germain, though, insists she's okay. Give her some time. She has 4 minutes to come back in. She'll come back in later on and make sure Metuchen can close out this win. But for now, check in Polakowski, see what she can do. I think that's the right move from head coach. Even if Germain says she's okay, there's no reason to risk it.
Of course. And Germain has been great in this game so far, and she's definitely been neutralized somewhat, but the team has definitely showed up around her, and they've helped her get some points on the board, and she's also helped the team.
Estevez using her body a little bit to try to rattle Connors, but the points don't go in off the glass. It does seem, though, like Perth Amboy has a system in mind. They have a very direct objective. They have certain rebounders, certain shooters, certain, players in the paint, and they're going to stick to it. And that's what they've been doing. That's gotten them some points here later on in the game. There's Estevez. She's one of those players that's been getting points later to here down the stretch. Press defense with 4 minutes left, and Metuchen has to find an assembly here without their best player on offense. They have to find something. Connors floats over to Breen. Open looks. That's the problem with press defense. Sometimes players sneak through the cracks, and wide open is Breen. Germain seems to be okay. Obviously walking around okay. It's obviously just an eye injury. If she's okay, I think Coach Glutz will pull the trigger and put her right back in the game whenever she is. But give her a little rest time. Obviously, basketball comes second. Pass back. Angeles missed the pass, overshot her to her player, Marquez. It's Connors who floats over. Was there a foul? There wasn't, but Gray gets the points. What a play by Gray. Make it a double-digit lead for the first time here in the third quarter. In the second half. Wow. Momentum has been incredible for Metuchen. They've scored on every one of their drives. It feels like in the fourth quarter. It's been unbelievable. Pfeiffer will come into the game with Germain, but for now, it's a timeout. As Metuchen and Perth Amboy go to the side for now. Jared, I want to ask you a question. So, we talked about it at halftime, but knowing what you know now about Metuchen as a team and what they're good against and what they're not good against, how can they beat Edison against, bigger players? Because obviously that Perth Amboy has, at least to a smaller extent, neutralized, I guess you could say, Germain in this game, right? But there's going to be bigger players than Edison too. Can they do that to Germain too? And how do you counter if you're Metuchen?
I think they actually will do it to Germain as well, and they've, of course, watched the film on the Bulldogs team, and they know that Germain is a key part to this offense that they need to neutralize. And saying that they do, they need to be more consistent on defense with capitalizing on the mistakes, saying it's Edison. And it's very important that they get a bunch of steals and get on a bunch of 50-50 balls that they normally wouldn't get. And getting those, they'll be able to get it up on the court and get some points on the board, which will definitely be important in the team's success going forward in this tournament.
I hope we're able to see. I hope we're able to see that game, because obviously it's going to be. It would probably be a great game. Metuchen and Edison, obviously bordering towns. Metuchen needs to win that game, obviously, because to keep their season going on. Same with Edison. It would just be so fun to be able to call that game. We don't know if it's home or away. We'd have to check the standings on that. We'll keep you updated. Obviously, I think we'll have the answer by the end of the game. And if you stick around a little bit later after the game, we'll be able to, I think, tell you, this is not official, when Metuchen plays and at what time they play. But at the very worst case, we could just try to keep you updated on Twitter and through other games as well on the Bulldog Report. Nice play there by Gray. She gets the points to fall also, make it a 12-point game, and the threat of Perth Amboy starting to gleam away as Metuchen is just firing from every corner right now on offense. A shot from the corner. Speaking of the corner, how about a shot there for 3 by Cologne? She's been great shooting the 3 today. 2 for 4 and 2 big 3-pointers at 2 big times, make it a 9-point game. Now Metuchen back on the edge. Ooh, what's the call? Angeles of travel. That's unfortunate. She was able to get the ball with a nice steal, but she fell with it, and it's a travel technically against her. Nice play, though, and the effort defensively from Angeles has not to be diminished at all today.
And now sort of looking towards the end game here for Metuchen, only 2 minutes left. They want to get as much possession as possible. Of course, you're going to get some points here and there from Perth Amboy, but hold the ball as long as you can. Of course, trying to finish the point on the offensive glass, but trying to hold it here and not let Perth Amboy sort of get back in this game.
Sneaking in is Pilata. Slow the pace down. You're in the lead. No shot clock, and all is well. I think you're going to be able to pull this game out if you just hold the ball and slow the game down. But Perth Amboy knows that, and the Panthers get a steal. Was it a backcourt violation? Angeles went backcourt. They passed prematurely to number 11, and Angeles was still on her own half. Metuchen now in a prime position to pull out a W here. Also, interesting note, Perth Amboy started off the year with 5 straight losses. They lost to, again, bigger schools, Woodbridge, North Plainfield, South Plainfield, Middlesex, and J.P. Stevens to start their year. And then they got 2 wins against Island Kennedy and Calvary Christian to snap that. So a team that can always, they're a little bit streaky this year. We've seen a lot of streaky play. They'll win 2 and then lose, and then they'll win and then lose a few more and then win. It's interesting, but also another thing I want to note, and I know this could kill you. A lot of Metuchen fans could be pretty depressed by this info, but Metuchen right now up by 10, right? They're playing against Perth Amboy, obviously, and Perth Amboy has played Edison twice so far. And listen closely. Edison, the team that Metuchen is likely playing next round. Edison against Perth Amboy, 60-31 on the 10th of January in in Edison, and then the game in Perth Amboy, 56-36. So beating Perth Amboy by huge numbers, 20 and 30. That is major. If you're Edison, to just be able to take down Perth Amboy, and Metuchen has to play them probably their next game, which is just going to be a much more challenging task.
And Metuchen has really been challenged all year, but they've answered the task. And Metuchen has always shown up in these games to show that they can really do what other teams can't. And they're certainly making a run here in the GMCs as this game whittles away. And I want to see how they can do in the rest of this one.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be an easy thing, obviously, like I said, to play Edison. They couldn't pull out the wins. They got second place in the GMC Blue. At least they have it right now. In the GMC Blue division, only behind Spotswood, who's just been undeniably, unbelievably good for in the GMC Blue division and in the GMC in general. But Edison even tougher than Spotswood, and Metuchen lost twice to Spotswood. One time by 1, the other time by almost 20. So, they have a tougher game to play than the game against Spotswood even, and they're going to have to play their best basketball if they want to pull out the win against Edison and keep their Cinderella story here in the tournament going.
And obviously as the 15 seed, it doesn't really give justice to what they've done all year. And the GMC, obviously a very tough conference, a lot of big schools, and so what happened
Quick
there?
steal, yeah, they're still going. I appreciate the effort, but Jermaine says, I appreciate my effort too as I swat you to the ground. Still a foul though. It'll be 2 shots though. Estevez, who has looked great down the stretch. Obviously this game probably whittling away, but down the stretch, Estevez has looked very good. She'll shoot 2. First one, no good. She bricked it. Both shots don't go. Pfeiffer gets the board. And she dribbles it with a little pass up to now Breen. 15 seconds. Gray for more points. To pad the stats, she couldn't. And she's not happy about it. But hey, who can't be happy with a Metuchen W? 5-4-3. Hey, maybe some more points. Estevez again. Oh, sorry, not Estevez. That one was Pardo. But Metuchen is headed to the 3rd round. Final score in this one, 51-41. Bulldogs played a heck of a game, Jared. Unbelievable game, and they came ready to play against a very good team.
They certainly have. And this is a very important win as, of course, win or go home. They keep advancing, and they've already won 2 rounds here. They're going to probably face Edison in this next one. And let's see what Metuchen can do to keep their Cinderella run going.
All right, like we talked about before, the last time there was a game between Edison and Perth Amboy, if you really want to analyze how good Edison is, was January 31st, which was almost a week ago. A week ago tomorrow. And January 31st was a good day for Edison as they won that one 56-36 against Perth Amboy. 12 in the first half for Edison, 10 in the second 12 in the first quarter, 10 in the second quarter, 3 in the third quarter, and in the fourth quarter, 25. Perth Amboy never scored more than 10 in a quarter, so it's definitely fair to say Edison is the better team. They are 18-4 this year, only 4 losses, and their losses came against big schools. So Metuchen has their work cut out for them against Edison, assuming that's who they end up playing in the next round. But for now, we are going to have to say so long as Ike Bush and Jared Popek are signing off here on the Bulldog Report. Final score in this one, 51-41. Great game for the girls. They'll advance to the 3rd round of the GMC in a few days. We'll find out the exact date of that rather soon. But for now, we'll step aside and see you guys later. Ike Bush and Jared Popek signing off of the Bulldog Report. See you guys next time.